Toxic fans, where have we heard that before? What's up, everybody? Today I wanted to talk about the genius George R.R. Martin, and there's a lot of articles being published that says that he is actually slamming the fans for hating on season 8, and I'm gonna tell you right off the bat that these are clickbait articles. If you really read what they're saying and you actually listen to the podcast where he was talking about the internet toxicity, I believe that he was doing that talking in general, addressing how it can be a toxic place, which is true. I mean, and he even talks about how people can hide themselves behind an avatar. You don't even have to put your real name out there, and you can just create a fake account and just, you know, bash on someone's work, which is true. And also the way that people address criticism, that most of the time, if you have a problem with the film, instead of addressing those problems, you are actually going beyond to call people names and say, I hope you die, and all these things. That there's not the way that you address criticism, but obviously people get mad. But the problem with toxic fans, toxic fandoms, the term itself, the only problem I have with it is that a lot of the time the term toxic fans are used to dismiss valid criticism, and most of the time this is done by the media itself. Not long ago we saw that happening with Star Wars. After The Last Jedi, and after a big chunk of the fans were complaining about it, they did not like it, they were voicing their opinions, they were framed as toxic fans because we didn't agree with the way they treated Luke, because we didn't agree with Leia flying in space. And that was, you know, not only toxic fans, among other names that the fans were called. So that's my problem with this term toxic fans. However, when it comes to George over here, like I said, these articles are only clickbait articles. This is not what he was talking about. I believe that, yes, maybe he had the backlash on his mind, but even George himself have not publicly shared his thoughts on the finale. I mean, if you go and watch his Twitter account, which I was checking the other day, he never posted anything about the finale. He never shared anything. In fact, he posted something about Chernobyl and said, oh, they deserve Emmys and awards, the acting was amazing, but nothing about the finale of season 8. I think the only thing he mentioned was on his blog, where he said he's thankful to the showrunners, and I can't believe that it's over, but it's actually not over because the books are still coming. And it was also kind of addressed some questions when people were saying, is it gonna end the same way? He said yes and no and yes and no, so which means some of the things will be the same, but a lot of it will not, because if you read the books, you would know a lot of the stuff that are in the books did not happen in the show. Some characters that are alive in the books died in the show, and vice versa, and all of that. So definitely it's not going to be the same. It's definitely going to have way more complexity to the characters, and we are going to understand their decisions, because I think the biggest gripes that all of the fans had is because people don't understand the ending, because it doesn't make sense. The characters are doing things that doesn't make any sense because it was rushed. That's why there was a plot point and they wanted to get there, but they forgot about the process, and that's why George takes so long to write, because I mean, he has an idea where he wants to get, but he lets these characters take on life of themselves, and sometimes things that he planned changes because it's just not going that way. That's how he writes, and that's why he takes so long for writing. Obviously you can't do that in television because you have a deadline, but at the same time, like I said, if D&D really wanted to end the show in a satisfying way, they should not just gone directly to the plot, and they should have stuck with the characters and their arc, because there was no time to turn them the way that they became at the very end. It was just completely a show that was called a fantasy show for people that don't like fantasy, became completely illogical and unbelievable at the end, because if you really think about it, it's just the decisions were not logical. These characters were not logical. It really felt wrong. But like I said, all these articles over here, clickbait articles, again with the toxic fans, that's not what he was talking about. If you listen to the podcast, what he said, he was even making a comparison of before, you know, and now, how before people would have to write a letter and put their names, but nowadays you can hide behind an avatar. And I'm pretty sure that he might have had season 8 in mind, and the way that people reacted with the whole petition and everything. 1.6 million people signed that petition, but he did not address season 8. He didn't even say season 8 or the finale. He never said anything like that in the podcast. You can listen to yourself and you will see. Even this article that is claiming, oh, toxic fans, he slammed the toxic fans, says that Martin has yet to share his thoughts on the Final Thrones episode. So, you know, these are clickbaits. This is not true. This is not, he was not bashing the fans that hated season 8. That's not what he was doing. There was another article on Deadline. This one is a little bit more faithful to what the podcast was talking about. It's titled, George R.R. Martin says internet fan culture has spiraled into madness, which is true, because sometimes a discussion get really heated, and yet it can turn into madness, especially when it becomes when it's a pop cultural show like Game of Thrones. And this article over here, let me just read what he said. He said, the internet is toxic in a way that the old fan side culture and fandoms, comic fans, science fiction fans in those days was not. So you can totally see he was comparing old days to nowadays, and it's taken completely out of context for clickbait, so people can see, oh my god, he's bashing the fans, which is not true. That's not what is going on here, you know. And then he continued, there were disagreements, there were feuds, but nothing like the madness that you see on the internet. He continues. So this is the internet he's talking about in general, because if you're really a fan of Martin and you've been seeing, if you watch any of his interviews, he said that he didn't want the show to end, you know. He said he needed, you know, he had enough material for 10, at least 12 seasons.
Why is it ending?
I don't know. Ask David and Dan when they come through. We could have gone to 11, 12, 13 seasons, but I guess they wanted a life.
So obviously, and he's not really writing, he was not really involved with the writing process. Perhaps they gave them, like I said, the plot points, but this was all on D&D, you know. It's David and Dan's fault. It was not George. It was, I mean, his fault is the fact that he didn't finish the books on time. But anyways, I just wanted to talk about this because I believe this is very interesting. Again, with the whole toxic fans, which is not what's going on over here. He was not addressing the backlash per se. He was talking about the behavior on the internet, how vocal the online hatred can be, which is absolutely true. And not only true, it could be so fast like this. I believe by after the end of episode 4, where Danny went bananas, it was almost 1 million signatures on that petition of people just going, I mean, what the hell is going on? Is she mentally ill now? Is that bad genes? Is that, what is going on here? Like I said, a character that used to have so many complexity becomes one-dimensional. They dress her in black. You're evil now. She's evil now. You have to believe she's evil now. The rationale behind the actions, never mind that. And that's the biggest problem with the show on season 8. And not only Danny, every single character, Jaime, Brienne, Tyrion, Jon, and the list goes on. Cersei, what they did, Cersei just stays in the window, so staring at the window. She has no you know, plan underneath her sleeve, which I thought she would have. Like, it's all these things that made people get really upset with season 8. But again, I'm very curious to see what Martin has to say about the ending, you know, because he understands storytelling, you know. He understands many times the stuff that we have seen him talk about in interviews happened on his own show. For instance, he always talk about hating plot armors, like when he's watching a movie and he sees the hero going in this crazy fight and nothing happened to him. This is exactly what happened on episode 3. All these characters surrounded by dead people and nobody dies. I mean, plot armor. It was a show that was based in reality that became completely unbelievable for plot reasons, you know. But anyways, guys, drop your comments below. Let me know what you think about this. We have to be very careful with these articles, you know, they could be very misleading because that's not exactly what happened. I don't believe that he was bashing the fans. He was just talking about behavior and the internet in general. He even made a comparison to before and now. But that's it. Let me know what you think on the comments down below. And if you enjoyed this video, don't forget to hit that thumbs up, subscribe for more, and I'll see you next time. Bye.